playing somewhat in the dark, but managing to sneak a Dark Templar in just to get it picked off. Let's see how it transitions from here, because again, I feel like Lzgamer doesn't want to go up in the headlong macro game against G5. G5 is just so strong in that situation. More Dragoons getting picked off against the larger group of Dragoons, and it looks like G5 actually going to go for more of a soft kind of counter to these Mutalisks. He's going to go with a Dragoon-heavy army, which is somewhat immobile actually, and a little bit dangerous on destination, but I think it's actually wise, just because the Dragoons on these ramps, you don't have to worry about Zerglings as much, because they pile up, and then the Zerglings can only attack a single Dragoon at a time instead of getting the nice efficient spread. And if you have 2 Zealots right in front, you can really, with some decent amount of micro, you can actually work it pretty well. Looks like an Observatory going up as well, and G5 with the 6 gateways just going to run to max, probably wait until he's around 130 supply, push up on attack, while simultaneously trying to take his third. He's going to want some Psystorm to work. I don't know if he realizes that Lzgamer's made a quick transition to Hydralisk. I assume he does, because he's felt a lack of Mutalisk pressure throughout this mid-game. Lzgamer, in the meantime, taking this bottom left-hand corner expansion, playing a little bit safe. I thought he would be a little bit more aggressive out in the field and try to take this lower 9 o'clock, running in with these Mutalisks once again, trying to see what he can, trying to pick off what he can. The Zealots trying to hug that Nexus to stay hidden with those cannons here. G5 kind of holding his hand back. It looks like he actually might go for an all-in pummel attack here at the lower 9 o'clock. Maybe try to swing around as soon as he takes those Hydralisks out and try to contain Lzgamer after the fact, while he's in fact taking expansions. He's pumping a lot of troops. Really, it looks like he did open up that rear, and I think he's going to move out as soon as he hits 150 supply here, maybe waiting on level 2 weapons to come online. He's already got level 1 weapons in the field, but it looks like Lzgamer going to preempt him a little bit, moving out in the field with a lot of Hydralisks, a ton of Hydralisks here into the midfield, and at the moment he's going to have G5 contained. G5 to break through this is going to have to rely a bit on Psystorm, unless he kind of goes out the rear direction here and kind of goes end around. Looks like he does have a single probe, that Zergling, kind of spotting it out as it comes through, and it looks like Lzgamer, I'm wondering if he went with the drop again, with the upgrades. He's bringing up a couple Overlords, I guess maybe to deal with either Dark Templar or maybe to push in a drop. I'm not sure. G5 taking his own gateway down on the front here to, again, provide a little bit more movement for himself. And a Dark Archon in the mix. This is, oh man, more standard G5, throwing in the unpredictable. Going to try to use Maelstrom in the mix, which can be absolutely devastating. I don't think Lzgamer really had any indication of it. There's the Mutalisks getting Psystormed and caught on that top edge. He lost his Observer. It's not going to make a difference because there's not really any Lurkers out in the field. Pushing down, really catching Lzgamer out of position here, and it looks like, yeah, his Hydralisk's not really bunched up and able to kill a ton of troops very rapidly. He needs a couple more good Psystorms to deal with these Hydralisk forces. Otherwise, he's just going to get pinned back. But doing a lot of damage here right as Weapons 2 is coming online, and it looks like he is going to be able to wipe this army out with just the troops he has. Unfortunately, Lzgamer going to be able to pick off some High Templar. Actually, no, I take it back. It looks like LZ will, in fact, win this fight. I feel... No, okay, he is getting a little bit overly aggressive. I was about to say, I think G5 is going to be able to replenish troops, but it didn't look like the troops were coming out. But Lzgamer in retreat, a very large army, moving more or less unopposed towards that 9 o'clock. Let's see if Lzgamer tries to get 2 more Sultan colonies down. And G5 now free to expand into that upper right-hand corner. And it looks like he even has a Zealot ronding out there to take care of that single Zergling. So nice play by G5. Very creative here. Very unorthodox for sure, and running in all these Zealots, trying to push the nice building positioning here for LZ. It's going to make it very difficult to work with, but at the very least, he should be able to get some drone kills out of it. Looks like both Sultan colonies down, and I don't know, losing the Dark Templar, getting a nice Psystorm though, and catching a ton of Hydralisks as a result, and getting some troops to transfer in between. Looks like LZ trying to get some Lurkers out in the field to at least provide some sort of defense, but this 9 o'clock extremely exposed in the meantime. LZ really holding on for dear life. No Observer to deal with these Lurkers, but these Lurkers have to go uphill. They're going to have to burrow and unburrow against these Dragoons that are pretty highly upgraded with a decent amount of range to get it done, and also a High Templar that may or may not, he doesn't know if he has, it looks like he doesn't have Psystorm right here, but a decent amount of Psystorm. Loses all of his drones, but does manage to defend the expansion, but more troops running down. It looks like there is an Observer in the mix, but there's still a lot of Lurkers, and there's a lot of Dragoons out in the field, which should be able to deal fairly easily against these Dragoons in transition. Lzgamer's going to have to pray that going uphill, these Dragoons won't be as effective effective, and it looks like that is in fact going to be the case. Walking uphill, these Dragoons going to get taken care of, and G5 maybe getting a little bit overly aggressive here. Can't afford to lose this army, and still hasn't been able to establish that 3 o'clock location, or at least he hasn't made any motions to. It looks like he's mostly been supplementing with a lot of zealots. But still, I think that was a big win for G5. He was able to wipe out some armies, take out a lot of drones, force LZ to kind of transition his tech. You can see kind of the supply difference, 154 versus 74, and this is where, again, LZ tends to focus too much on micro, I think, at stages of games like this, and not enough on macro, and that's where he tends to fall behind and ended up losing matches. G5 really exploiting that, and as a result, taking a big lead right here. 3 o'clock location now going up for G5, the northern location. Oh man, running those zealots headlong to the lurkers, but actually doing some decent amount of damage before pulling back here. Nice side storm, catching at least one of the lurkers and doing half damage to the rest of the Hydralisks. And once again, just trying to push in these fights, keep Lzgamer off, kind of unbalanced. Looks like Lzgamer wants to, yeah, he is teching to Hive. Already has the Carapace coming up a long way. I don't know that he's really going to be able to sustain Hive Tech, actually, though, because before not too long, G5 is just going to have an overwhelming army out in the middle of the field. He's going to have to pump a lot of troops to try to defend that, and I don't know that he's really going to be able to save up to get the pure amount of Ultralisks he's really looking for in the late game. And honestly, out of all the maps that that are good for Ultralisks, I really feel like Destination is one of the ones that not as good, simply because the bridges create against Dragoons. If the Dragoons are in position, it just leaves Ultralisks running into each other and getting hit by those Dragoons along the edge, depending on the way positioning works. And honestly, at this stage, I think G5 is going to be able to depict where the fights happen and when, just because of his superior supply count, his complete dominance over map control. I would say it looks like he's splitting his army in two, sending out a task force of zealots along the right, going to engage looks like the lurker army across the fold. And he's really good at actually these combination attacks and bring them all together. Unfortunately, kind of at a bad time, and ending up taking a couple free hits on his zealots before peeling back. But he's got a massive army already out in the field. He's already got his upgrade swing. It looks like he's already working his way to weapons 3. Doesn't look like Lzgamer is aggressively upgrading like he was in the first game. So I take it back, because he does have the melee upgrade, but he's still at level 1 Carapace versus level 2 weapons comparatively. And G5 just going to go, he knows he can win macro style, so it looks like he's going to make sure he can win macro style. Some zealots here at the 9 o'clock location. These zerglings really don't want to press against that, just because of zealots with that additional upgrade. Really, really powerful, and G5 instead just going to take over the map and make sure that Lzgamer can't really press through. So again, I feel like it's one of those situations where yes, Lzgamer does have Hive Tech, but I have a feeling he's just going to get starved out through the long term once again. 3 o'clock location, or 4 o'clock location now being taken by LZ. He does have Hive Tech up. I don't see any indications towards Lurkerling Swarm or Ultralisk Tech at this stage. Really, I don't feel like he has the economy to sustain either. Really, he's going to have to rely on mostly Zerglings, because he's fairly low on gas. Defiler's fairly expensive in the gas realm. And in the meantime, G5 has a brutally gigantic army that is fairly highly upgraded. He can just seal his positions before starting to move out in the field. Yeah, he can just hang out. He can actually probably take that 9 o'clock whenever he feels like it as well. Get a couple cannons in it. Probably doesn't want to distribute the probes to it just yet. But losing a High Templar kind of needlessly out in the field there. But ultimately, yeah, just the superior supply count, the superior amount of troops, the massive economy. Looks like he transferred those probes a little bit too early. He can just shore up his defenses and just force LZ to come at him with a much smaller, much inferior troop count. Looks like 2 more hatcheries, another hatchery and a defiler mound being planted along this back edge. And as you can see, LZGame having to rely mostly on Zerglings to get it done. And against this troop composition with some movement problems, he's going to have what he needs to do is just go catty corner across the field. Running headlong into some cannons here instead. And not going to get a lot done here. I really feel like LZ can play a much better game than this, but he's just feels like he's off kilter, especially after that Archon attack. Maybe not able to focus as well as he would be able to otherwise. Playing a bit off kilter, definitely, and it looks like that lurker going to be picked off right on that edge here. Again, I'm kind of curious, what LZ's plan from this stage is. It looks like he actually built 2 defiler mounts. I think that's another indicator that shows you he's kind of off his mental game here. Doesn't really need to double upgrade the defilers all that quickly. I think he just made a mistake having to rely entirely on Zerglings at this stage, it looks like, just because of his low gas count. He does have some lurkers out here to the 9 o'clock, but again, he's not in a position where he can attack or defend or take the territory he really needs to get the supply up. G5, in the meantime, just at 200 supply. He's 190, 10 more supply will put him over that cap, and he's got a large bank to work with. So he can absorb a lot of attacks and press a lot of attacks in, and it looks like he is in fact going to shore up this 9 o'clock location. I wouldn't be surprised if he turns around and does the 3 o'clock as well. Just plant even some Dark Templar on the edge here, just some cannons up on the high ground, things like that. It looks like at the moment he's just going to use Dragoons and Zealots there, maybe even swing around. Wow, that Lurker absolutely pummeled. Being very wise here, and I think he knows that Lzgamer is kind of locked to that Zergling production, and as long as he keeps little amounts of troops everywhere, when the Zerglings engage, he can hit them as they're running by first of all, and he can make sure that he doesn't get caught out of position at any one area.